It's a new day for the Silver and Black. Josh McDaniels is out. Antonio Pierce is in. And the rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell is now the starter. Will it all lead to a win on Sunday against the Giants? We break it down right now on the Silver and Black Show. So much ground to cover, and we do it with today's star-studded lineup. Former Raider and Giant Justin Tuck gives us his take on the sweeping changes. NFL Media's Shaun O'Hara breaks down the matchup, and we sit down with Raiders' new interim GM, Champ Kelly. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show, everybody. I'm Amber Theoharis. The Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler era is over in Las Vegas. It lasted just 25 games, of which the Raiders went 9-16. For this organization, whose mantra is just win, baby, it wasn't just the losses that led to the drastic change. It was how the Raiders were losing. If we're real, this team wasn't even competitive these last 2 weeks, and that's unacceptable considering the level of talent on this roster. Play was uninspired, the offense was anemic, and team captain Davante Adams could not contain his frustration. The whole world saw it on primetime TV. Clearly, it was time for a change. And now, the Raiders move forward under interim head coach Antonio Pierce with Champ Kelly as the interim GM. Their first order of business, another change. The rookie, Aiden O'Connell, will get the nod at quarterback instead of Jimmy Garoppolo going forward. And while we don't know what the future holds, we can find renewed energy in knowing at least a new direction has been taken. And game one of the new chapter is this Sunday against the Giants. And to preview the matchup, we say hello to Super Bowl winning Giant Justin Tuck. He also played in the Silver and Black. How you doing, Justin?
It is definitely good to see you as well. How's everything?
Everything's great, and I would say everything's great for your old buddy and teammate, Antonio Pierce, who is now the interim head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Tell us what we're getting in Antonio Pierce.
Listen, I think it's easy for me to say this because I played my first taste of NFL action was under the tutelage of a guy named Antonio Pierce, and just listening to him in practice, listening to him in film study, and being the captain of our Super Bowl winning Super Bowl team at Super Bowl 42. One of the smartest, most cerebral football minds I've ever been around. I would say that probably 60% of the plays I made in my first part of my career was basically because I would get in my stance and I would look back and see AP at the middle of our defense, basically telling me, all right, Justin, you're gonna get a down block. All right, Justin, they're gonna pull the guard here, or just this is gonna be a pass. And I don't remember a time when he was wrong. He is one of the best players I ever played with from that sense. And again, there will be no confusion on what he wants and what he's trying to get accomplished. One of the realest people I've ever been around in my life. And I'm super excited for him, and I just know that, the Raiders they're gonna have some real fun playing for this guy because he's one of us, and he's one of these guys who he's gonna demand a lot from his players, but he's gonna be right there every day, making sure that they see him doing the work as well. So I'm super excited for AP.
It's interesting that you say he's one of us. Does him being a former player really go a long way with the players in this locker room? Because one of the big problems with Josh McDaniels and the former regime was that there seemed to be a disconnect.
I think so. I mean, I've always been a player that would rather have a former player, especially from the perspective of in this case where it's been transition. He's obviously been a player that's probably been through these type of moves and know how it feels to say, all right, we had this coach and now we have this coach and we have this, what we used to call midstream adjusting. I think he's going to be so prepared in that light and understanding, again, as a former player, he's going to know the strengths, I think, better than most. He's going to know the strengths of his team. He's going to know the strengths of certain players. And working with that staff as far as putting these players in position to go out and play and do what is best for them and best for the team based off of the strengths of those individual players. I just feel like he's going to be well positioned to do so.
Yeah, you talk about kind of that mid-season adjustment and transition. You did that in 2014 with the Raiders when they relieved Dennis Allen, brought in Tony Sperano. How did the players react then? And then how do you expect these players to react now?
For what I remember during our time there in 14, it was a shot in the arm. I think like you said, I think a lot of it was just a displacement of what I thought our talents were and what I thought we could accomplish as a team. And I ain't gonna say complacency, that ain't the right word, but I know when Tony came in, it was a shot in the arm. It was a more of a vibrant, locker room, more of a vibrant practice facility because, it was almost like this new era, this new thing. We got like a fresh restart, and I think a lot of guys really, took hold to that and came out and put their best foot forward. I expect the same thing for this team now. But like you were saying in the intro, there's so much talent in this team, starting with Devontae Adams and going down the line there. Hopefully, AP and his staff can find a way to revigorate and give it a shot in the arm where they, obviously they start to playing a little bit better and a little bit more up to what was expected of them starting the season.
I think what was impressive was Mark Davis made a swift and very definitive decision. A lot of owners might have let this go on longer. He knew it wasn't working. He made a decision to try to fix it. From a player perspective, does that go a long way in reestablishing your faith as a player in the organization you're playing for when an owner makes a definitive decision like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends, obviously. It depends on how players felt about Coach McDaniels, sorry. And I'm sure there were some players on the team that, like Coach McDaniels. And obviously, as you pointed out, there was always some frustration from the highest of the players on your team. So, I feel as though when a decision is made like this, it's going to have, mixed reviews, right? But I think overarching, if you think about what the owner's job is, and that is to make sure the health of the franchise is going in an upward direction, then I think most players will see that and understand the business side of this as a football player and a football organization, and think of it as in like, he saw the need to do something and he didn't wait on his laurels to do so. He went about it in the direction in which he felt as though it was best for the franchise. And I think most players will get that and understand that that is exactly the type of owner you want to have, regardless if you agree with the decision or not. He saw something that he didn't like, and he made a swift decision on it, and again, in the hopes of moving forward.
Let's talk about this game coming up on Sunday. Giants, Raiders, you were part of both organizations. I covered you back in those Super Bowl years. You were a game wrecker. That's what I remember about you. And Max Crosby is a game wrecker as well. What makes him such a dominant pass rusher?
I don't think Max ever gets tired, first and foremost. So I don't know what his training regimen is in the offseason, but I've never seen him puffing and puffing and like taking a play off or anything like that. He is consistently going 100%. I don't know what his 40 time is, but whatever it is, he seems to play that speed every play. And that let's not even talk about his talent. Let's just talk about his effort. That is so hard to defend. That's so hard to block when you have a guy that is going 100% every play. Now, adding in the fact that he's a super talented individual, now you're putting those two things into the queue, and just you understand why he's so successful. He's a complete nightmare for offenses to block and to scheme for. And again, I think it all starts up front. I've always believed that, obviously being a D lineman, but he is one of the best in the league, and he continues to grow and get to. I think he has another gear, to be honest with you. I think he has another plateau to get to, but it seems as though every year that guy touches the football field, he's getting better. And again, he will be number one on the bulletin board for anything that the Giants want to do offensively, and making sure that he does not wreck the game, which a lot of teams have had extreme failures in stopping him in doing that.
Yeah, that's why he's one of the greatest in the league right now. On the other end of the defensive line, though, they have the first-round rookie and Tyree Wilson. He continues to make incremental progress, but it hasn't been as rapid as I think many people expected for his draft position. What advice would you give to a young pass rusher that is adjusting to the NFL?
Honestly, I think just, understand you have to go through your lulls. Some guys are coming in this league and take it by storm day one. Then there's other guys that it takes time to ramp up. Nothing wrong with either one of those. Just as long as he is constantly going about it in the right direction, making sure that he's watching his film, making sure that he's doing the right things as far as taking care of his body. The talent is there. We can obviously see it on film. Sometimes it just takes you time to get up to speed. Sometimes it just takes you time to understand what it is that the defense allows you to do and getting comfortable in that. And once that happens, then you definitely see that jump. I think a lot of times you see that that rookie to second year jump because of issues like that. As far as like, all right, I understand this defense now. I understand, how I can do this and do that. And it's a lot of things above the X's and O's that rookies don't understand they can do. If you watch Max Crosby play, I know for a fact I don't have to even look and see what the play call was. I can tell that like his job was to do this, but he saw the opportunity to do that and make a play. And he did the other thing super fast because he understood, if I make a mistake here, I know that this guy has my coverage or this guy has my coverage. So it allows me to kind of play this tweener a little bit. That's something that you learn with experience. So like I think those type of plays are coming in the queue for this kid as he continues to grow and continues to understand, like, all right, in this play call, I can get away with doing this, or in this play call, I can get away with doing that. So I just feel like, if I go back to my rookie year and understanding the defense, that was one of my struggles. It wasn't that I wasn't, talented enough or I wasn't up to speed with, what was going on. It was just the little things that these veteran players understand about what an offense is trying to do to them or what a tackle or a guard, what they're going to do on this type of play, et cetera, that just like puts you in a different stratosphere as far as like making plays on the football field.
Yeah, and it's just about trusting your instinct and feeling like you have enough experience to trust your instinct, it sounds like.
Yeah, as a rookie for me, it was like I was so afraid to make a mistake instead of just being free out there. And I think he needs to get to that point where he's so comfortable that he's just playing, he's free. And that'll come with time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The Giants' defense, by the way, even though the Giants only have 2 wins, they've held opponents to just 11 points a game over the past 3 weeks. They've been very good. What is Wink Martindale doing right?
Well, first of all, he has a ton of talent in the front side of his defense, right? Obviously, Dexter Lawrence is an all-pro. Even though they just traded away Leo, he was there for every game up until this game. So to start with those two up front is just a tremendous foundation. Then you got Thibodeau coming off the edge, and you got just solid players in the back end that are with Wick and all the things that he's going to do pre-snap to disguise blitzes or disguise coverages. He definitely does a lot of things as far as like slowing offenses down or slowing the process of quarterbacks. Speeding up the process of quarterbacks up because you never know where he's going to pull things away. And I think that defense is in sync from the front end to the back end as far as you don't see them making a lot of mistakes. I think the only mistakes the defense has made consistently is probably pass interference, but you got to think that that's going to happen because they're man-to-man, kind of zero coverages a lot, and et cetera. So you kind of put that in the pot of expecting that. But outside of that, you don't see a lot of blown coverages. You don't see a lot of things that typically will beat you on the defense. And I obviously, again, I am biased. I'll raise my hand in saying that. It starts up front with the fact that, the middle of that defense is as solid as any other defense it is. And now these pass rushers and Thibodeau are starting to rush the quarterback too, which obviously, makes it very difficult for offense.
You talk about pass interference in the secondary. How do you think that matchup with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and even now Michael Mayer has stepped up? How's that going to look?
Yeah, shout out to my Notre Dame guy, Michael Mayer, another obviously promising rookie that you guys have. There is no way when Devontae is in sync with the quarterback, there is absolutely no way of stopping him, right? You have to find a way to make other people beat you, and that might be, obviously double teaming him, rolling coverages over him. But it's going to be hard to do that when you have other ancillary products in like, Michael Mayer and Myers and others where these the quarterback can find these other guys. I think sometimes you use a player like Devontae as a decoy in some cases. But again, even when he's double teamed, he still has a track record of making plays like that. So that's going to be a very tough matchup for the Giants. But I think it starts with, I know Wick is going to be licking his chops from the perspective of he has a rookie quarterback. He can do a lot of different things from a disguise standpoint, from blitzing from different angles to kind of, again, speed his process up and get that quarterback uncomfortable. But again, if he's allowed to have time back there and establish the running game with Josh Jacobs and get into stay in front of the downs and get into some situations where he can open up play action passes and rollouts and things like that. That's going to be difficult for the Giants to stop because, again, Devontae, Myers, Mayer, and crew, there's so many weapons to spray the ball, and you don't necessarily have to get Devontae to have 10 to 15 catches. You can spread it out, and then you lull to sleep, and that's when Devontae hits you for a 60-plus yard. And that's something that the Giants obviously has to figure out. But I think it's going to be a really good game of two teams trying to figure their way and get back on track.
We're looking forward to it. So much perspective. Thanks a lot, Justin Tuck. We appreciate you joining the show.
It's my pleasure. I look forward to watching the game. I wish I could be there. My wife is running the New York Marathon on Sunday, so I'll be watching it from my home.
Oh, you were a beast, and you're married to a beast. I see it. Good luck to her in the marathon. Hopefully she does real well.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, Justin. All right, coming up next, the future of the Silver and Black is with Champ Kelly. We sit down with the Raiders' new interim GM coming up next. The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. 1800, the best taste in tequila and official partner of the Raiders.
I thought what was really interesting, there's so much going on here, is there were other capable men here, and you were chosen by the owner. How did that feel in that conversation by Mark because of where the record is and what he expects you to get done the rest of the way?
Yeah, humbled, honored, not shocked. Mm-hmm. I'm a born leader. I'm a raised champion. I was raised right. Never given anything. But the one thing I've done my entire life is when I've been given the opportunity, try to knock it out the park.
For the full interview of Antonio Pierce with JT the Brick, visit Raiders.com or the official Raiders YouTube page. Welcome back to the Silver and Black Show and the future of the Las Vegas Raiders, not only in Coach Pierce's hands, but in Champ Kelly's hands. And thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations on the new position. I know back in January of 2022, you were a candidate for the vacant GM job at the time. What motivated you to come work for this organization?
You know, when I think about, the Raiders and this organization, I just think about the rich tradition, pioneers in the NFL, especially being a minority. I think about some of the things that this team has been the first at, trailblazers. And so that really pulled at my heart, and working across the league, for all these years, like you hear about the Raiders alumni. You hear about them talking about once a Raider, always a Raider. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a part of that.
But Dave Ziegler and McDaniels brought you in, so I imagine some mixed emotions. What was your reaction when you got the call from Mark Davis?
First of all, I consider David Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, they are as close as brothers to me. Their wives, Laura, Carissa, the kids, extremely special to me. So when you get the initial information that the organization is parting ways, it's crushing, it's devastating, right? I wanted to do my part, or do more to help them, retain their jobs, and it didn't work out that way. So bittersweet, obviously. And then you just realize you got to move on and get ready to attack the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, give me the state of the Raiders. Assess this roster right now. Roster you've helped build.
Well, I think the most important thing is the mindset of the Raiders. Like, we're attacking this one day at a time. Like, full on, full throttle, ready to work, right? We have a group of players who are hungry, they're attentive, and they're working hard for myself and Coach Pierce. They're prideful, and they're excited and eager to get back to Allegiant and play this Sunday.
You have some of the best players in the NFL. Do you feel like you have the players in this building currently to really compete with some of these top teams in the AFC, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Chiefs, that they have to play twice still?
I said this during a presser. My mindset is not to focus on what's outside of here. I don't really care about the competition right now. I care about running our own race, right? So within the walls, are we doing what it takes to prepare us to be the best football team when we walk out on the field? So that's the mindset that we're really focusing on. The teams that you named, they're focusing on their thing and what they're doing. But the NFL is this, like, you come in early, you establish an identity, and then everybody is racing to stay healthy and to improve and to gel together as a football team. What we're doing right now is we're blocking all that stuff out and saying, hey, what do we have to do to develop our identity, and go out and implement that on a game day and produce and win football games.
And if you listen to your press conference along with Antonio Pierce's yesterday, that identity seemed like it was already being developed already in a press conference. He was a surprise pick in many ways just because not very experienced as an NFL coach. Why is he the right man to lead this team right now?
Well, Antonio wasn't a surprise to me. Right? He's carried himself with his explosive, dynamic personality throughout this building since he's been here. Well respected amongst the locker room. I think he's well respected across this league because he wasn't just a former football player. He was a productive, Super Bowl winning football player. So his fire, his vigor, his love and care for this franchise and this organization is why he's the right man. We both believe in a tough brand of football. You know, we're not out here trying to talk about it. You know, it needs to show up on the field on Sunday, right? And so I think that our fans will be, you know, they'll see a little bit different in that when we play this weekend. Lastly,
why should Raider Nation feel positive and inspired about what the future holds?
You know, first of all, you know, we're committed. Every decision that we're making, AP and myself, is going to be for our organization. Like, your head coach is tough. Like, I'm tough. I'm resilient. I've dealt with a lot of things in life. Like, the transition that we've had has been unfortunate, but I promise you the people that we have in place on the scouting staff, on the coaching staff, we believe in our people. We believe in our processes. We're doing everything that we can to improve on things that we already have set in place, and that's taking place right now. Our players are eager, they're hungry, they're thirsty to be better. They're yearning to win a football game. And so we're attacking this full steam ahead. It's all gas, it's no brakes, and we going full throttle. Like, that's the only way I know how to attack things. I don't know if you know much about me, but I'm from a small, rural town in Florida, country town. You gotta work to eat where I'm from, right? And so what I learned about being in a town like that is there's communication, there's a commitment, and we're all committed to each other. And when there's conflict, you push through it and you fight. And I think that we're banded together now. We're gonna push through, we're gonna fight, we're gonna make our fans proud.
Well, Champ, I think a lot of people are excited just to hear that. That's inspiring alone, and we look forward to seeing what you do with this team. Congratulations on the opportunity.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank y'all, Raider Nation.
Coming up, the Giants are coming to town. NFL Media's Shaun O'Hara tells us what we can expect in that matchup.
You know, it's funny, life works conveniently. They're being coached by a guy who's played here. What better start for him to beat us, you know? So I'm sure they're going to come out there with a lot of energy and be ready to play and ready to go. And at the end of the day, they're a good football team. So, you know, we got to be at our best.
He's considered the best, one of the best leaders to ever don a New York Giants uniform. Now, I didn't get to play with him. I just got to meet him in passing kind of when I was first drafted here. But just hearing the stories of what type of man he is, the Raiders, they found a great guy to lead that team. There's a reason they promoted the linebacker coach over at DC, and I think they fired the offense coordinator today. But obviously, AP is that kind of guy.
I thought he played well in the preseason. I think he throws on time. He's good pocket presence. He's accurate. He's on the three-step game. They moved him a little bit in the preseason. Throws good overs. He can throw the deep ball.
He's one of the great receivers that we have in the game today. He'll probably go down as a Hall of Famer. You know, he's crafty. He's got a great catch radius. He can run. His routes are ridiculous. He's pretty much the whole package as a receiver that you want.
He's out of his mind. We played him last year. It was the last full game I played when we had that Kyler Murray run around for 45 seconds. We came back and beat them. Max, I was playing left guard at the time, and all of a sudden I'd play would end and he'd be all the way on the other side of the field. And I'm like, where are you coming from? And he just is relentless with his effort. It's just, he's going to make plays. He's a great player. There's a reason he is where he is. He's got to keep throwing bodies at him, keep getting after him, match his intensity, and never let that down.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete. You know what I'm saying? The thing that sticks out to him the most to me is his motor. I mean, he played to the echo of the whistle. Like, he's the definition of playing to the echo of the whistle. And it's definitely going to be a great challenge, but it's a challenge that I'm up for. It's a challenge that the rest of the offensive line is up for, so I'm excited for it.
We're going out there to play a game, and if we don't do our job, we're not going to have jobs either. So it's like the pressure's always on no matter what. Now, is there more pressure? I mean, they're still a football team. They're 3-5 right now. They have one more win than us. The pressure's on us to go win a football game in a hostile environment in Vegas. The fans are going to be all jacked up. They've been calling for the coach's head all season, so now they're going to be all geared up too. So the pressure's always been on us, and it will be until we start winning these games.
Welcome back. The Raiders have a chance to make a statement at home on Sunday against a 2-6 Giants team that's had its own struggles. What can we expect from both sides? Well, let's bring in our next guest, NFL Media's Shaun O'Hara, a good friend of mine. Shaun, it is good to see you. How are you?
Hi, Amber. Great to see you. I'm doing well. Just chugging along here. The NFL season is always got some tricks up its sleeve, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does. And we had a little trick or treat on Halloween with the regime change. As you know, Antonio Pierce, a guy you won the Super Bowl with, is now the interim head coach. What can you tell us about Coach Pierce?
Yeah, this was kind of a shock to me Wednesday morning when I woke up and saw the news because it happened so late. I thought it was a prank, with the Twitter and the X now. You got the blue check mark doesn't
It doesn't
always
mean
validate
anything.
stuff. So I'm like, no, that can't be right. And I'm like, holy cow, this is happening. And I'll be honest with you, as soon as I saw that Antonio Pierce was named the interim head coach, I immediately texted him. I gave him a couple of Tom Coughlin quotes, which I'm sure he's already regurgitated, and just wanted to, wish him well. And I said, like anything that you have done in the NFL, like you're going to be great at it. And it's ironic because AP and I were both undrafted guys. We both played 11 years in the league, and we both were captains of the New York Giants 2007 season. And I had played against AP when he was in Washington. And then I remember when we signed him and brought him as a free agent, there were two things. That number one, I was happy I didn't have to play against him on Sundays anymore in the division. And number two, I got a chance to experience him in practice, and I got to see what a cerebral player he was and how good he was with his instincts as a player. Just he always knew whether we came out in a certain formation, he knew what the play was going to be. He could call it out as we were walking to the line, and I kind of have to play coy, and he'd be yelling out, "It's toss crack, here it comes," and I'm like, no, it's going the other way. So he was always watching film. His locker was next to mine on game day. So he would have his portable DVD player up, watching film right until the last second that we went out on the field. So he was always ahead of the curve from a mental side, and the schemes and the offenses. He always took a lot of pride in knowing exactly what the other offenses were going to do. And it served him well as a player, and it certainly has served him well as a coach.
Man, so as a defensive guy, he's probably really helping out Bo Hardeggy, who's going to be calling the plays on offense. And I kind of had a question about the process. You know what it's like to get ready for an NFL game. When your head coach, who's an offensive coach, is gone, and then your offensive coordinator is gone on a short week. Remember, they just played on Monday Night Football. What does the process look like? What is this offense going to look like? And a new quarterback in Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, a lot of new variables. I don't know if there's any ideal week to have a coaching change, but certainly on a short week, it makes it tougher. I've always felt bad for the coaches, not the ones that get fired, but the ones that remain, because now they have to do twice the work. Because now you're doing your job and you're absorbing the other jobs of the guys that just got let go. We kind of saw a similar situation happen with Jeff Saturday and the Colts last season. So it definitely puts a lot more work on their plates. They're basically handling, double duty. So I'm sure they're not getting any sleep, but they're excited. I think if you're Antonio Pierce, look, he grew up in Compton. He grew up a Raiders fan. Like, this hits home for him. That's why he came to Vegas to coach for the Raiders. It's in his blood, and this was his childhood team. So there's affection there. There's affinity there. And I know he's excited about it. You think about Dan Campbell, who's the coach of the Detroit Lions. He got his first head coaching job down in Miami as an interim coach. So this is important, and I know it means a lot to AP. And I think his connection with the players is a lot like Dan Campbell's connection with his players in Detroit. He gets it. He gets the game. He gets the locker room. I think they respect him. They can relate because he understands what they're going through. And he was always a really good communicator. So that's always first and foremost, whether you're coach to coach or coach to player, communication is vital. and you can never have enough of it. And I think that's something that they're probably working on. But listen, it's a tough task on a short week to all of a sudden have this coaching change and figure out, all right, who's going to do the game plans, because everything is different. Now maybe you lost your third down install game planner, and so now somebody has to take that over. And you kind of go back and you'll probably just look at what have we done well in the past. Let's stick with that. We don't want to reinvent the wheel on a 3-day turnaround, and try to get these players to learn new schemes. So you try to go back to some of the basics, some of the things they're doing well, and try to maximize that.
One of the things they did well in the past, as you say, is Josh Jacobs. He led the league in rushing, and now they're struggling to get any semblance of a run game going, do you find that kind of puzzling, considering the only change on the offensive line was at right guard, so it's the same personnel that had a league-leading rusher?
Yeah, it is alarming almost to have the NFL's leading rusher in Josh Jacobs last year, and then now he's averaging 3 yards a carry. He has yet to have a 100-yard game this season. That's perplexing. I think one of the toughest things to do as a coach and as a play caller is to stay patient with the run game. A lot of times if things aren't going well in the first quarter or first half, you can abandon it and get away from it. I kind of go back to Josh McDaniels' days as the offensive coordinator with the Patriots. There were times where the run game was an afterthought. And, look, when you had Tom Brady, I understand why you're throwing the ball 50 times. But I think for any team, any offense, to have the ability to run the football and have somebody that's patient with that allows you to be physical. That allows you to be the tempo setter. And I think it's something that Antonio Pierce appreciates and understands as a defense. Any defensive meeting room in the league right now, if you walk into their defensive meeting room, on the wall, number one is to stop the run. That's always their emphasis. So if you have an offense that can run the football and that stays patient and consistent with it, it doesn't have to be 8 yards a carry. It can be 4 yards a carry, and then you pop a big one. But that's definitely surprising given the success they had last year, and it just hasn't come to fruition this year.
I know you pay attention on the other side to that Giants offensive line, being a former center. Evan Neal, high draft pick for the Giants. He's going to be out there at right tackle, and you know who lines up on the left side there on the defensive line of the Raiders? A guy by the name of Max Crosby. How do you expect that matchup to look?
Yeah, you turn on the film and his nickname is Mad Max because he's coming at you from all angles. And, whether it's a quarterback sneak and he's diving over the pile, like looking like a condor with that 8-foot wingspan, or whether he's, tackling a running back from the backside or harassing a quarterback, he is a nightmare. And it's not a one-man job blocking Max Crosby. You've got to have help. You can't expect a young offensive tackle, certainly not Evan Neal, coming off an injury, to just hold up one-on-one all game long. So you've got to give some chip help, whether it's through a running back, through a tight end. And of course, you turn on the film and you see Max Crosby, even with tight end help, he's still beating both the tight end and the tackle and getting hits on the quarterback. So that's going to be first and foremost. I think that you definitely have some plays for guys like Max Crosby. Max Crosby is kind of like a werewolf. You have to have some plays that just kind of, you take it to him, whether you crack him from the outside, run a toss crack and give him something else to look at, or you screen him to death on the first drive of the game and try to slow him down. But the Giants offensive line has struggled, Evan Neal in particular, especially against guys that are really shifty and really quick in space like Max. So that'll be an interesting matchup. And look, the left tackle, Andrew Thomas, he got hurt in week 1 against Dallas and has not been back on the field since then. So Justin Pugh, who they brought in straight off the couch, has been filling in admirably at left tackle, but even that would be a mismatch. So the Giants offensive line has been in flux all season long. I feel like they've started a different combination every single week, and this week may be no different.
Yeah, Justin Pugh's not even a left tackle by nature, so he's playing out of position there. The Giants lost to the Jets last week. Had to be a bit of a punch in the gut. I know that you do the pre and the post game for the Giants. What's the temperature of the team right now after that loss?
Yeah, I know the fan base is reeling. I was at the game, and everybody in the stadium thought the Giants had the game won. 4th down, Kayvon Thibodeau sacks Zach Wilson, and the Jets fans started leaving the building. They were walking out. They're like, "That's a wrap. We took the L." And then somehow, some way, Zach Wilson found a way to get the ball down the field, and the Giants ended up losing that game. So that's one of those games that can absolutely linger if you let it. Not to the same degree that the Raiders are going through some change, but the Giants just traded Leonard Williams to Seattle. And I think, that kind of can have a ripple effect in the locker room too. Like, man, what's going on here? We trade one of our best players, and it was purely economical. But I think that this is a pivotal week for the Giants, and for that man right there, Brian Daboll, who, look, I know he's beside himself as to how they keep inventing ways to lose games, but they should have beat Buffalo up in Buffalo. They should have beat the Jets. They should be sitting here at 4-4, but they're not, and they've got to fight their way out of it. So you find out real quick, who's tough mentally and physically on weeks like this. Certainly, it helps getting Daniel Jones back. I know that should help the offense, and it should help Saquon Barkley as well, open up some more things in the run game.
I mean, right now, the Giants are only scoring 11 points a game, dead last in the NFL. You have to score points to win games. We know that here at the Raiders. Daniel Jones, though, with him back in, how does that change the offense and give them a chance against this Raiders defense that has played well?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think, Saquon Barkley is the best player on this offense, so you cannot give him enough touches. But Daniel Jones can do things that Tyrod Taylor couldn't do, that other quarterbacks couldn't do. He is a true weapon running the football. He's not just a scrambling quarterback. He's not just going to run around to buy time. They have quarterback design runs and quarterback design plays. Now, coming off of the neck injury, I don't know if they're going to be conservative with that, but the allure of him having the ability to run the football can help slow down guys like Max Crosby, and it can help on the backside of a run play hold that defender so he's not crashing down and making a tackle for a loss. So I think that impact in the run game is going to be huge. And then I think really just too, with Daniel coming back, he's got a great grasp for the offense. There is nothing, there are no handcuffs. There's nothing that he can't go out and call. I know they want to get Jalen Hyatt involved in the passing game earlier and get some more targets his way, but the line's got to hold up. I know he's missing Darren Waller, who's exited the game with a hamstring injury. I'm sure Waller would love to play against his former team as well, but I'm not sure if he's going to get to play either. But that was kind of his go-to guy on third down. So somebody's going to have to step up. I know Daniel's looking forward to putting his best foot forward and getting back out there, and most importantly, taking care of the football.
Well, in the last game against the Jets, Saquon Barkley had 36 rushing attempts. So they have no problem feeding Saquon Barkley, and he responded. Let's talk about the defense, though, because from the outside looking in, this defense has been holding up. They've been doing their job, especially over the last 3 weeks. They've given up 21 total points. What do the Raiders have to look out for? What are they doing well?
Well, they get great interior push. And, I mentioned Leonard Williams not being there anymore. I think Shaun Robinson will probably fill his spot, but Dexter Lawrence has been playing. I mean, I would put him up against any interior defensive lineman in the league right now with the way he's playing. And that's one of the toughest things for a quarterback. If that interior pocket is getting pushed back into the quarterback's lap, there's nowhere to step up in the pocket. And that's really been a big part of their pass rush. Kayvon Thibodeau has exploded here in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the monster game against the Jets last week. So that's definitely been helpful. But I think this Giants defense, they've been playing so well. And when the offense is struggling, I think, there becomes a point in time when you're walking off the field on offense and you feel the defensive daggers coming from them. Like, they're looking at you like, are you guys going to show up? Like, we're out here balling out. We've got life on the line over here, selling out, and you guys can't even find the end zone. So, I hope that they keep that, that stinger defensively. They've done a good job. Bobby Okereke has been a really big addition. But I think that front is really doing a good job controlling the line of scrimmage. So the run game that we were talking about with the Raiders, I know they want to establish that. That's been something that the Giants have done a really good job of. Think about this. Breece Hall came into the game last week for the Jets, averaging 6.5 yards a carry on the season. He had 15 carries for 17 yards. So they did a great job shutting him down.
And the Giants are killing it on third down, giving up just 13% to the Jets. That's pretty impressive. Hey, Shaun, it's so good to talk some ball with you again. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you out at a game soon.
All right, Amber, great to see you. And give AP my best. Tell him Cappy says hi.
I'll tell him, for sure. Thanks a lot, Shaun. All right, so we talked about AP. Who is Antonio Pierce? Well, we're going to tell you why he's here next. The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. Chevron with Techron gives you unbeatable cleaning and mileage. Chevron, together ahead. Time now for one last thing. Antonio Pierce was chosen to lead this team for a reason. It wasn't his experience. There are coaches with much longer tenure. It wasn't his proven ability to come up with a game plan, because he's never been a coordinator. And he definitely wasn't next in line. Antonio Pierce was chosen because of his energy and his ability to connect with players. It's something that was grossly lacking. This team wasn't feeling heard under the previous regime, so much so that they held a team meeting to scream it from the mountaintop. Mark Davis was listening, and he picked an interim coach that would include the players in the process rather than dictate it to them. He picked a man who's put on the same pads and understands the value of empowering his players.
And I'm relying on our leaders to lead. You know, I'm gonna come in here with the game plan. This is the picture that we're trying to paint, but they got to carry it throughout. The best teams that I've ever been on as a player or as a coach, player ran. Player ran, bottom line. Devontae knows what it is. Max Crosby knows what it is. Robert Spillane knows what it is. Our captains and leaders know what it takes. They got to go out there and do it, and they got to carry that message and make sure that resonates, and we block out all this outside noise, because we're going to get some over the next, 72-plus hours. That is just us against the world, and that's our mentality going to be right now, us against the world. Raider Nation against everybody else.
Woo-hoo-wee, Raider Nation versus everybody. Cue the goosebumps. That is the feeling. That's exactly why Pierce is here. He brings heart, connection, and the intangible cohesiveness of us versus them. Max Crosby is a believer. Listen to what he had to say on his podcast, The Rush.
It's really hard to find a leader of men. And, Antonio Pierce being a former captain and then being a coach, being with him on a daily basis, he's unanimously respected throughout the building. So when I found out it was going to be him, I was like, yeah, everyone was fired up. We're all excited. Obviously it's bittersweet at the same time, but this is the NFL. At the end of the day, we got to go play a game in 4 days. So we're fired up about it, and AP's fired up. The energy was ridiculous in the building today. And we're just ready to go. So it's super exciting. We get on the field tomorrow for the first time, with the new regime. And, he just kept it real. He just said it's us against the world. He goes, nobody thinks we're going to go out there and have success. And, we're out there to go prove that, we're going to do the opposite. So I'm super excited. Like I said, I can say it a million times, but everyone's got the ultimate, respect for the guy. Antonio Pierce is an OG. Me and him have a great relationship. We chop it up on the daily. So I'm fired up for him. He's earned the right to, step into this position, and, we're fired up for him.
Pierce's ability to rally the troops is apparent. Heck, he rallied us in the first press conference. He reminded us the Raiders brand is one of the most identifiable in the NFL, representing toughness and grit, an identity this current team had strayed from. Pierce is here to bring it back, and he told reporters he has the dogs in the locker room to do it. Whether the Raiders can turn this season around is yet to be seen. But for now, it just feels good to have some light back in the black hole. That'll do it for us. We'll see you at Allegiant Stadium this Sunday, 1:25 p.m. kickoff. Raiders, Giants, it's a new day. Have a great weekend, everyone.